Hey, welcome guys. I'm very bad with the timing, right? Apologies to those who have been popping in and out. I had some issues with the internet. I hope you can see me, you can hear me. We'll wait for a couple of minutes and see who can join us today for another live stream. Hope the connection is good. Hey, we have a new member, Chris. Welcome to Saratoshi Squad, Chris. See who's in the chat. How are you today, guys? I think we can slowly make a start. Let's see if anyone else joins us. Today we are going to talk about a couple of very important things, especially around Bitcoin, what is happening with the markets right now, oil, silver, gold, and mainly Bitcoin, and then we'll have a look at the altcoins as well. Hey Chris, welcome. I'm trying to pin the comments, but I feel like it's not working. Can you guys see those popping on the screen? I don't think it works. Can you see any of that popping out? It's sort of still trial test on how to go streaming. Fairly new to this, but we improve as we go along. Can you see me okay? Can you hear me okay? Okay, we'll make a start and see who else joins us. We'll start with Bitcoin. As we speak, Bitcoin is back to 84K, sorry, 74K as of now, but probably going to the 80s very soon. I want to tell you something very important, like a trend that you probably haven't noticed yet. When the war started, if we go to the chart here, hi Phil, welcome, good to see you. If we go to the chart over here, when the war started, Bitcoin was sitting at $64,000. Then Iran retaliates. We had another low. Then Bitcoin bounced back and went up to 66K, as you can see on the chart. Then we had another week of conflict. Then Bitcoin went back down. Then we saw another push up to the 74K level. Then we bounced back down as we had more attacks, other countries being involved and impacted. And we can see a very clear trend over here. Every time Bitcoin is making higher lows, as you can see on the chart. And that is telling us something very important. Each event was bigger than the last event that we saw in terms of the war, and it's still ongoing. Every time, each sell-off that we see on the chart was smaller than the last one, and this is purely shown here. As you can see with the blue line, we had higher lows, and this in trading is called a rising floor pattern. And when it comes to financial analysis, this is one of the most bullish signals that you can see. It means that every dip is being bought very, very quickly. Every panic that we see is being absorbed, and the market is getting stronger, not weaker, under this pressure that we see. Meanwhile, what is happening to every other asset? Let's look to the other assets and see how Bitcoin compares to everything else, just to put some kind of context here. Let's look at oil. What happened with oil? I'll bring the chart of oil here. Oil went absolutely parabolic. You can look at the chart over here. It went absolutely parabolic, more than 50% since the war began. And that makes complete sense if you understand why. Iran sits right next to the Strait of Hormuz. If you look at the chart, if you look at the map over here, Iran sits exactly next to this. So it makes sense. This is a narrow waterway that roughly 20% of the world's oil supply passes through this every single day. So when war breaks out in this region, we see oil supply, oil traders go into immediate panic mode. That threat of supply disruption sends prices skyrocketing, which is very obvious, and we see that. It literally becomes more valuable when there is a war in an oil production region that we have over here. And that's very visible on the chart. So oil has gone up more than 50%, and that is not surprising because oil is a direct beneficiary of this conflict. It literally, as I said, becomes very valuable. Now, that's oil, and as I said, nothing surprising over here. If you look at the dollar has also gone up. It has performed well, which again makes perfect sense. In times of global crisis, what we are experiencing right now, what we are seeing right now, it is considered the world's reserve currency. Many investors move their money into the dollar because it's seen as a safer asset. It's a classic flight to safety trade. So, oil and the dollar, they're the two assets that beat Bitcoin. But the key point here is that both of these assets are directly structural beneficiaries of the conflict itself. So, what we see, the strength that we see, is not something unusual. Oil goes up because the war threatens supply. The dollar goes up because of its special status as the global reserve currency. Bitcoin has neither of those two advantages, to be honest, and yet it beats almost everything else. Now, these two are the assets that are going up, but if we look at the S&P 500, which is basically the most important indicator for America's stock index, its benchmark for the entire US economy, it went down during this period. You can see the chart over here. Let's bring the monthly chart. It went down when the war escalated, and it's visible on the chart. War creates uncertainty, and uncertainty makes businesses worth less. Companies don't know what their costs will be, what trade routes will look like, what energy prices will do. So stocks are falling. And we're just going to look at the S&P 500 because that's, as I said, the benchmark for the US stock market. It went down while Bitcoin was going up. And the same thing happened to gold. If we now go and find the gold chart over here. When it comes to gold, it's an interesting one because gold, as we know, is supposed to be the ultimate safe haven in every crisis. Everyone is all the time saying, go and buy gold. Everything else falls, gold goes up. But during these 2 weeks, gold was very volatile in both directions. It went up, it went down. It couldn't decide what it actually wanted to do. If we look at the chart, we had some spikes, ups, downs over here the whole March, and now currently it's retracing, which is something unusual. And if we look at other stock markets of Japan, South Korea, China, and other Asian nations, they had their worst week since March 2020. That's the same period as the COVID crash. So we saw very big crash across all the markets. Only oil was up more than 50%, but that's only because of the direct conflict exposure. US dollar was also up because of its reserve currency status. And the other assets that is going up is Bitcoin, which is where we are coming to our main point. Bitcoin was also up, and if we try to measure since the start of the war, Bitcoin is up, as you can see, nearly 15% in this last month. So that's strength that we see, something that is actually surprising. And I was one of the people who was calling 50K for Bitcoin at the start of the war, because usually Bitcoin is a risky asset. People are going into something more secure, like gold. Hey, Tao full cent. Gorgeous as always. I just look at the comments shortly. Okay, now if we go back to Bitcoin, I'm showing you this data, and I want you to think what this data actually means. What does it tell you? Because Bitcoin has been launched since 2009, and it has been called a scam, a bubble, a Ponzi scheme, digital monopoly, and money is outperforming every traditional digital monopoly. Money is outperforming almost every traditional asset class during a war. And I want to tell you that this actually means a couple of things. First, Bitcoin is 24/7 trading. It's not just a feature, it's a release valve, because Bitcoin can trade all the time. It absorbs shocks as they happen. Other markets bottle up fear and release it in a violent sudden drops when they finally open. But Bitcoin processes that same fear continuously in smaller, more manageable waves, as you can see on the chart over the past month. And this reminds me of something, and where I want to get with this is that we are very close to breaking above the resistance. If we even look, I'm just going to mark something up on the chart. We have a very strong resistance at the 74K level. And we are very close to breaking above that in conditions where we have war, where we have uncertainty. So it's no longer just, speculative asset. Bitcoin is becoming a global liquidity pool. When crisis hit at 2 a.m. on a Saturday and you need to move money right now, Bitcoin is there. You don't need a bank, you don't need a broker, you don't need anyone else there. You're not waiting for market open like with the other asset classes. Just instant global permissionless transactions. That's what you have. And that utility is very real in conditions like this. So technically, Bitcoin is forming a very clear pattern over the past 2 weeks. The floor, those rising lows that we are talking about over here, we have been steadily climbing up roughly by $1,000, $2,000 per escalation event. At the same time, there is a ceiling that I talked about, the resistance level over here. That's between 74 and 78K level. I'm going to mark the floor over here, the ceiling, in fact, and we are almost breaking above it as we speak. And these patterns, they actually naturally resolve with time. If you look, we've been bouncing back from this floor, from this ceiling, a couple of times already. And now we are coming very close to breaking above the 74K level. That's a very, very strong pattern that we see over here. And at the same time, even if you look at so that's on Bitcoin, we are very close to actually moving to the 80s. And I think that's going to happen over the next couple of months, over the next couple of weeks even. Another indicator that we've got over here is the Bitcoin ETF net inflows. This is one of the biggest buyers was BlackRock over the past couple of weeks when it turned into positive. The net inflows are now positive. And one of the biggest buyers was BlackRock, whose clients bought about $600 million worth of Bitcoin. That's one very big signal for all of us. It shows that institutional demand is still very strong, even after the correction that we saw on 10th of October, after the manipulations that followed after that. When large institutions keep buying dips like this, it usually means that they're positioning in here for long-term upside, not short-term speculation. They're here for the long term. And a lot of these inflows are happening from big money, from institutional demand. So while retail investors like us, we are panicking, we are thinking, oh, what's going to happen? Are we going to go to 50K? Are we going to go lower? We see institutions quietly accumulating. And we can obviously see that on the chart. And we can see that in the price of Bitcoin. Now, this week is very interesting because we have data, macro events that can actually tell us, and we can actually help us to break above the 74 ceiling that I'm talking about. Very strong resistance level that we tried to break above multiple times over here. Once on 4th of March, the fourth time we are trying to go off the zone. The data that we have this week and can actually help us to push above this and unlock the next floor of 80K. These are the events that are coming up. On Tuesday, we have important data linked to the rate decision from the Reserve Bank of Australia. On Wednesday, that's one of the biggest days actually on Wednesday, because we have the US interest rate decision from the Federal Reserve. Along with that, we have updated FOMC economic projections, we have a press conference from Powell, and the PPI data. So markets will be listening to Powell's tone very closely. If he sounds positive, then we could see crypto rally, and that would push us above the 74K level, and as I said, unlock the 80s. If he's a little bit negative, then we could see volatility. We might go back down to the lower part of this channel, the 60s, low 60s. And we also have the Wednesday decision for the Bank of Canada rate decision. And Thursday is even crazier. We have the bank decision from, we have the rate decisions from Bank of Japan, the European Central Bank, and Bank of England. So we see 7 major banks deciding on interest rates. And that would be a lot of volatility. A lot of liquidations will be expected as well. And we can see the markets shifting, very sensitive to those decisions. And let's see how the altcoins are doing. In the meantime, guys, feel free to drop any comments that you might have in the chat. We'll have a look at it. I'll answer any of those questions. Tao full send. Tao is a very good project, actually. I'll be adding a new pick to my portfolio, AI project. Whether that's going to be Tao, and I'm not going to now pump that. Surely price will retrace. The market is not just moving upside. There is ups and downs. So I would wait on the next retrace of Tao or any other AI project. But in my opinion, AI is a hot narrative and it would be over this cycle, together with real world assets, together with privacy projects as well. So definitely Tao is worth holding, or any other project that is in this narrative. We have a new member, Chris, as I said. What do you see coming for Aster in the next month? Aster is a very interesting one. Perpetual dexes is another, thanks Chris, is another narrative that is very hot, very popular, because these perpetual dexes, they are now competing with centralized exchanges for volume. And some of them, like Hyperliquid and Aster, are 2 of them, the most popular ones. Now, because this narrative is very hot, we have a lot of other new projects that are being created in the same niche, which is very normal in crypto. But these two are the main ones, Hyperliquid and Aster. Currently, Hyperliquid is leading in terms of volume, but Aster are doing something very interesting. They're doing some kind of AI integration. They're also offering leverage of 1001x. That's a massive leverage, 1001x. They have their mainnet launch now in March, and I'm really positive for Aster, at least in the short term. And as you know, it's also backed up by the CEO of Binance, CZ. So definitely it has very good potential. I would personally not hold it forever. I'm aiming for some profits over here. This is one of the projects that we added on Discord recently. We will do a swing trade on that. And I think it has potential. We bought it at very early stage when it was first launched. I remember buying Aster at 60 cents and I sold it at $1.80. On Discord, you can guys join our Discord and check out the alerts. But that was one of the projects that I made 3x with. Now I bought back at the current price and I would probably be aiming to sell at $1. Because I think there will be a lot of hype, and potentially after they launch their mainnet now in March, we would see more volume and more improvements and more money flowing into Aster. Definitely worth it, at least for the short term. And it's competing with Hyperliquid, which is another good project. Unfortunately, you can't have everything in this space. You can just focus yourself on a couple of projects, because if you're chasing everything, then you would find yourself probably getting crazy at some point. Hyperliquid. I missed Hyperliquid potentially because, as you can see, one very simple strategies, you can see the market moving to levels over and over again over the past 2 months. If you trade, you could clearly make some profit. So I always recommend having one bag for long term, and at the same time having a bag that you swing trade if you obviously have the time to do that. To capture all the movements of the market. But yes, Aster is a good one, especially for the short term with the release of the mainnet. The price has been suppressed. I can see that the market is, for example, very bullish right now, and Aster is not moving as much, but I think a bigger move is coming very soon. It also has release of tokens. Some of the supply is being unlocked, so that's creating a little bit of pressure, selling pressure, but at the same time they have planned their improvements in a good time. So the usually when you have tokens being unlocked, this creates selling pressure. But now in the anticipation of this event, it's kind of balances off. That is on Aster. We spoke about Aster, we spoke about Tao. Let's see how Sui is doing. See, I can tell you that the biggest strength right now in some days very close to the bottom of C. The team is really working very hard. They launched a stable coin. They have integration with Coinbase, Grayscale. You can see over here what people are saying about the project. I'm very big on Sui. I might be a little bit biased because I was one of the first people or first YouTubers to actually speak about Sui and catch this project pretty early, but definitely we can see the team positioning themselves as a very, or positioning this project in a very good place for the whole market. Do we have any other questions? So that's on Aster Chris. Phil is bullish on Tau. Buying Canton. Canton Network is alright. I don't hold it. I'm not planning to get it. Of course, it doesn't fit economics. It's performing very well. Chart is very bullish, as you can see. Healthy pullbacks. It's been doing pretty well. But as I mentioned, you can't have everything as much as your budget allows you. If you spread yourself across too thin, then you kind of get your gains diluted. So you have to focus on a couple of projects and just stay strong. And stay with your conviction in those projects. At the same time, I don't like having all your eggs in one basket, as they say. Diversifying is good, but not over diversifying. And these two terms are, of course, a little bit subjective because it depends on your budget and what you're aiming for. But yeah, Canton is not a bad one. Love C. Me too, Chris. C is a good one. And link to C is Deep. Deep Book is the liquidity hub for C. It's also been performing very well because when C gets, when C increases of let's say 5%, Deep Book increases in value double because it's much smaller market cap. You can see it also lands on a much higher scale, on a much bigger scale. If you are looking for a small market cap project in the DeFi decentralized finance narrative, go for Deep Book. Very good one. And it's obviously linked to SUI. And SUI is a solid layer one. It recently got listed on Coinbase as well, which is the exchanges where every single project wants to get listed on. It's on Kraken as well, Crypto.com. You can literally find it everywhere. It's not on Binance yet, I don't think. So that would be another major catalyst if it gets listed on Binance. But it's not on there yet, which is surprising. Binance lists so many, stupid things out there. But yeah, D-Book is definitely a good project in the decentralized finance. Okay, well, if you guys don't have any questions, then I will keep it short and we'll keep these live streams regularly. I'll keep updating you on the markets, what's happening. We'll make some analysis next time. We'll answer any questions. It's my second time being live, so with time we would get we'll get better, and hopefully I'll try and find a suitable timing for everyone across the world. I have people from USA over here, Europe, Asia, so try and find suitable timing for everyone. Okay, well, we'll leave it there then. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching, for your questions. If you have